morning, everyone, and welcome back to our webinar series. Today, we will be discussing the Anatol Rodgers project and our other renewable energy projects that we have ongoing in the Ministry of the Environment and Housing. My name is Lindy Bowe, and I am your MC for this morning. So before we begin, just take a quick second, whether you are on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, take a second and click the share button so that other people can join. Text a friend, tell them to come on into the chat. So we're going to start off this morning with a quick welcome/introduction from our Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of the Environment and Housing, Mr. David Cates. So we're going to invite him onto the screen now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Giovanni, Bernelli, Dr. Colin Young, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, the Honorable Ramon Ferreira, Dr. Donald Kane, representatives from the Ministry of Education, and the Anatol Rodgers High School, and other invited guests. I wish you a pleasant good morning and welcome to the virtual opening of the solar installation and energy refits at the Anatol Rodgers High School. When the Ministry of the Environment and Housing wrote the proposal for this project, it was envisioned that this pilot project to the 2013-2033 energy policy would expand the imagination of Bahamians to do what was truly possible with respect to renewable energy in the country. It was our intention to have the active participation from the school's population and community, and I'm proud to say that we were successful in these goals. More and more Bahamians are realizing the value of renewable energy, not only as a tool in our continued fight against climate change, but as a budget saver. Moreover, students from Anatol Rodgers actively participated in the daily construction, along with contractors at the site. Based on our interaction with these students, we are confident that this experience was a life-changing one. The installation has been online for 1 year now, to the benefit of the school and the community, as the energy normally used to operate the school is now available for other purposes. I would like to thank the Italian Ministry of the Environment, Land and Sea for their gracious contribution to the government of the Bahamas. A special thanks also to our partners at 5 Seas and Boozley Construction. We look forward to working with you all on even more of the government's 30 by 30 renewable energy initiatives. Thank you and welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Cates. So before we move on, I'm going to remind you once again to just click the share button so that we can get more people on. This is great information that we will be discussing this morning. Next up on our list, we're going to invite Mr. Giovanni Bernelli from the government of Italy to bring remarks.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to participate to this initiative that gives the Italian Ministry of Environment the opportunity to present the successful cooperation activities that is carrying out in the Caribbean area. Italy strongly supports the implementation of the Paris Agreement, accompanying the CARICOM countries in their commitment to achieve a balance between adaptation and mitigation in countries, the CARICOM one, particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. Since 2015, the Italian Ministry of Environment has been developing a fruitful collaboration in the area. In the last 5 years, 21 projects have been approved with a total budget of some $17 million. Indeed, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, so-called 5 Seas, has been designated as the implementing agency of 16 of the 21 initiatives proposed by the countries to support CARICOM states in promoting the protection of the climate system, the development of renewable energy, the reduction of natural disasters, and the promotion of biodiversity conservation. More than 1/3 of the projects approved, being co-financed by IMELS and implemented by 5Cs, promotes the following items. Green energy for the retrofitting of education centers and economic facilities, for instance, in Bahamas, in Dominica, Haiti, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis. The construction of models of green town, for example, in Guyana. The reduction of carbon footprint, for example, in Belize, thereby contributing to the implementation of SDG, Sustainable Development Goal number 7, about affordable and clean energy. So I am really very happy that next week, Anatol Rodgers High School in Nassau will be launched. It is the first example of green building concluded through the collaboration between the Italian Ministry of Environment, the government of Bahamas, and the technical support of 5Cs. The Italian Ministry of Environment has co-financed this project with a grant of around $700,000 in order to support the construction of a pilot project focused on sustainable energy. Italy is keen to fostering smarter low-carbon electricity systems and to widespread use of best available technology to contribute to these ambitions, including providing financial and technical support to the CARICOM states. So to conclude, I really thank 5Cs for the organization of this event, which confirms the wide interest of the Italian Ministry of Environment in the area and the economic opportunity that renewable energies represent for the small island developing states. I thank you very much, and I wish you a very fruitful work.
Good morning, Mr. Young. We're going to invite you now to bring your remarks. Mr. Young is a representative from the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Mistress of Ceremonies. Honorable Ferreira, Minister of Environment and Housing, Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, Minister of Education, Dr. Giovanni Bernelli, Director of Division 3 at the Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea in Italy, Dr. Neely, Head of the Climate Change Unit in the Ministry of Environment and Housing, Mr. David Coates, the PS in the Ministry of Environment and Housing, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my privilege to provide brief remarks on behalf of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, known as 5Cs, as we celebrate the completion of the energy efficiency and renewable energy retrofits of the Anatol Rodgers High School. This project showcases the achievements of the Government of Bahamas through the partnership with 5Cs and the financial support of the Italian Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea. The Anatol Rodgers High School benefited from a US $850,000 grant from IMELS in 2017 that was part of a regional program funded by the government and people of Italy through IMELS. The projects were geared to contribute to low-carbon development growth that is resilient to climate change in the Caribbean region via the piloting of a number of initiatives that include electric school buses, energy efficiency and grid interactive solar PV systems for schools, health centers, villages, sewage treatment plants, carport, and electric vehicle charging stations, as well as water production and distribution systems. The 5Cs is pleased to be the implementing partner of these projects on behalf of our member states and IMELS. Today, we are virtually gathered with our partners to celebrate the fruits of our labor in the Bahamas. It is noteworthy that the Bahamas is the first country to have completed the implementation of its project, the retrofitting of the Anatol Rodgers High School with energy conservation measures and the installation of solar PV. This IMELS funded project is contributing to the fulfillment of the government of the Bahamas' commitment to support and pursue low carbon economy. The Anatol Rodgers High School was selected because of its facilities, its energy use, and the solar PV potential. Furthermore, the high school is the only public school on New Providence that provides education to approximately 1,250 junior high and senior high school students and has a faculty of 90 teachers. Today, we can celebrate the successful procurement and installation of the following: a 250 kW DC rooftop solar PV array, a robust exterior lighting control system, vacancy sensors in all classrooms, computer labs, and lounges to control lights and ceiling fans, programmable thermostats throughout the building, and low-flow lavatory aerators to improve water use efficiency. As a result of these interventions, the school is realizing a number of benefits that include: 1, optimized energy use through more efficient use of power, leading to electricity savings, solar generation through a rooftop PV array, and a tangible example for students and faculty to see, interact, and incorporate into their learning environment. In addition, the school now has the distinction of being the very first in the country utilizing solar energy. We now have a model to replicate and scale up in the Bahamas. Indeed, the knowledge products and lessons learned from this project will transcend the border of the Bahamas, as the 5Cs will transfer the knowledge widely via our Regional Clearinghouse. The 5Cs intends to work with its member states to scale up initiatives like these in an effort to unlock climate finance for the Caribbean region. The successful implementation of this project is a testament to the 5C's commitment to its mandate and its capacity to develop, implement, transfer knowledge, and mobilize technical skills and climate finance for the implementation of climate action. The Center's ability to deliver and establish strong partnerships has bolstered our track record and boosted the confidence and trust of CARICOM member states and partners that they continue to place in the Center. The 5Cs intends to build on this trust and its track record of continuing serving the Caribbean region to the best of its ability to advance the climate change agenda in all levels of our society. Given the successful implementation of the energy efficiency and renewable energy retrofits of this high school, which has significantly enhanced the learning environment at the school, the Bahamas has plans to retrofit the TG Glovers Primary School with additional approved funding of around $960,000 from IMELS. This second project will build upon the successes of the first and will include the retrofitting of one of the largest primary schools on the island of New Providence with a PV battery backup system, the constructing of a greenhouse for a pilot horticultural curriculum study, the establishing of a pilot recycling program to investigate suitable solid waste management strategies for educational institutions, and finally, to rehabilitate sensitive wetland located near the school's property. This second project is part of a phase 2 of the regional program funded by IMELS. The implementation of this project is expected to commence in the first half of 2021. The Center is most hopeful that IMELS and the 5Cs will be able to move expeditiously to conclude its arrangements that will see the commencement and implementation of this project and the other phase 2 projects. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, the proud long-standing partnership between the 5Cs and IMELS has contributed significantly to improving climate change resilience in the region. The 5Cs is grateful that the government of Italy, through IMELS, for its continued support in the region. The success of this project and so many others would not have been possible without their financial support. I would like to take this opportunity to express the Center's gratitude to the government and people of Italy for their significant contribution to improving the climate resilience in the region and for their continued climate change leadership. At the same time, we wish to reaffirm the 5C's commitment to this partnership and hope that through the continued collaboration and cooperation, we can advance efforts to realize the successful implementation of ongoing projects as well as future initiatives aimed at building resilience to climate change. The 5Cs remains committed to working closely with the government of the Bahamas, IMELS, and other partners to support the climate change aspirations of the Bahamas. We are encouraged by the country-driven and inclusive process for the identification of the country's climate change priorities. I hope that we may be able to gather in person on the occasion of the successful implementation of the Phase 2 project. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and please be safe, particularly in these pandemic times. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Young, for your remarks. We have some questions on the Facebook Live. For those of you that are asking, we will have a question and answer period at the end of the webinar. So you can feel free to post your questions and we will be sure to address them before we close today. Moving on to our next presenter, we have some remarks coming from Minister Jeffrey Lloyd. He is the Minister of Education here in the Bahamas. Minister Lloyd.
Well, it's a great honor and privilege, and I want to say a special thank you to Ms. Bo as the moderator this morning. I wish to extend the greetings of the Ministry of Education to our Permanent Secretary, the Honorable, Mrs. Lorraine Brister. A special greeting to my cabinet colleague, the Honorable Ferreira. P.S. Mr. Cates. Welcome to Ms. Dr. Neely of the Government of Italy. A special, Dr. Bernelli of the Government of Italy. Dr. Neely of our own Ministry of the Environment, and Dr. Young from the 5Cs, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, and other specially invited guests. It's really an honor and a privilege that we celebrate today this achievement, this milestone, and as De Young indicated, that we are the first country to have completed this project and the initiative that has been established through the cooperation and the partnership of the government and the people of Italy and the IMELS, along with the contribution of the United States of America. As you would be aware, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is very committed to the ascension of renewable energy in our space here in our country, with the intention that within the next 10 years, some 30% of the energy produced in this country comes from renewable sources. It is a significant achievement for us that one of the first places that we would have such a demonstration of that commitment is among our young people, who now have a manifested reality of what potential there exists in the operation and the manifestation of renewable energy in our own society. I don't think that you could have chosen a more propitious facility than the Anatol Rodgers School, which is one of only 2 comprehensive schools in our system, certainly in the urban centers, and again, one that occupies a significant space in terms of the physical structure on the campuses out in the Southwest. It is a school because of the nature of its infrastructure that it lends itself more beneficially to the implementation of this project. And I'm also very happy, Dr. Young and Dr. Bernelli and our own Ministry of Environment, to hear that in the second phase, the TG Global, as you have noted, The largest primary school that we have will also be one that is featured through a very generous grant of some $900,000. We are very committed in the Ministry of Education to make the best use of optimized energy through the implementation of solar facilities in our school system. And I don't think that it could be more of a generous observation to note that now in this environment where in only 12 months ago, we were visited by a most unwelcome guest known as Hurricane Dorian, and then 5 or 6 months later that we would be catapulted in this pandemic of the world, that we had to leapfrog our digitization efforts in the Ministry of Education with the use of technology in the creating of a smart educational system for the benefit of our clients, primarily our teachers, our students, and their parents. And so this implementation today and this opportunity that we have with the use of renewable energy in a way that will drive the continuing advancement of technology in our educational system is really heartwarming, and one that invokes deep gratitude and appreciation in the Ministry of Education. So, Dr. Bernelli, I wish to extend on behalf of the government of the Bahamas and the Ministry of Education, all of our officers, especially the leadership team led by Mrs. Ambrista and Dr. Marcellus Taylor, the Rector of Education, our heartfelt thanks and warm appreciation for the outstanding contribution of your government and the commitment, as Dr. Young would have said, to the continuing enfleshment of climate change and the realization of renewable energy and its great contribution to the generation of power in our societies. Dr. Young, I am proud of your contribution and your leadership at the 5Cs Institute. And I want to say how proud I am of our own Ministry of Environment and Housing, led by my cabinet colleague, Dr. Honorable Ferreira, and his team, Mr. Cates and Dr. Neely, for again partnering with us to ensure that we do realize the objectives of this government, this country, in the renewable space that is being created. Thank you all very much once again, and look forward to further collaboration, and happy that you are choosing to again remind our young people in particular of the significant place that renewable energy plays, not only today, but also a major portion of their lives going forward. All the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Lloyd, for those remarks, and thank you very much for taking the time this morning to participate with us. We greatly appreciate it. I noticed that we have some new logins to our Facebook feed, and so we're gonna remind you, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to post them in the comment section, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. Coming now to bring an address is the Honorable Ramal Ferreira. He is the Minister of the Environment here in the Bahamas.
Dr. Giovanni Bernelli, Dr. Colin Young, the Honorable Jeffrey Lloyd, distinguished guests, Mr. David Cates, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Environment and Housing, and all my friends, good morning. As a part of the Planned Mitigation and Adaptation Program, the Bahamas sought funding for the retrofitting that addressed a key national issue. And this key issue was that of energy efficiency. Funding for this project was ultimately granted by the Italian government's Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea for the retrofitting of the Anatol Rodgers High School with the assistance of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, or 5Cs. We are extremely grateful to the government of Italy for their donation, and of course to our partners at the 5Cs for their support. And we look forward to more successes in the future. The vulnerability of the Bahamas to the impacts of climate change is well known. And this is for a number of reasons. Given our geographic vulnerabilities, we have limited landmass, low relief, and dispersion of islands. And of course, we have environmental vulnerabilities as well: high temperatures, storm surges, sea level rises and floodings, tropical cyclones, and of course, non-tropical processes. On top of all of that, the concentration of socioeconomic activities and critical infrastructure is located in narrow coastal zones And this poses challenges in and of itself, and it is heavily dependent on tourism as a revenue source. And of course, given the limited human and institutional capacity, the energy policy that was crafted was meant to address all of these vulnerabilities, all of these weaknesses, identify all gaps and fill them. This administration remains committed to the implementation of this policy and is unequivocally supports the progress that has been made to date. The award-winning installation at the Anatol Rodgers High School was the first of a program of installations across government-owned schools and facilities in the Bahamas, and it fulfills on one of the most strategic objectives of the government, and that is to realize a low-carbon economy. The Anatol Rodgers High School on New Providence Island was targeted as most suitable, and this is most suitable for retrofit due to energy use and solar power potential. Installing specific energy conservation measures, including a rooftop solar photovoltaic array at the school, the expectation was to decrease the energy usage, convert to low carbon, and of course, more importantly, impact the daily lives of the students and the staff and the parents who interact with the school. The Anatol Rodgers High School is located on the southern side of New Providence. Originally completed in 2012, the school offers 2 magnet programs in pre-engineering and information technology. In addition, the school has a program focused on hospitality and consumer education, including a classroom containing commercial equipment, kitchen equipment, and a mock-up hotel room for students to gain the experience necessary to become future managers of hotels. The school is the only public school in New Providence, the only one that provides education to both junior high students and senior high students. The school serves approximately 1,250 students, has a faculty of 90 teachers, and it is fair to say that it is a linchpin in the educational system in New Providence. This project saw, among other things, the installation of 250 kilowatts of a rooftop solar photovoltaic array, vacancy sensors in all classrooms, computer labs and lounges to control lights, ceiling fans, the installation of programmable thermostats, low-flow lavatory aerators, and the rezoning of the interior lighting system at the school's entrance. These were all completed not only with the goal of optimizing energy usage throughout the school, but the installation served as a learning tool and a tangible example in the lives of students as to what can be done and offers a glimpse of what the future is going to look like. As I mentioned before, Anatol Rodgers is the first government-owned school in the country with this type of installation, but we will replicate it across the Bahamas. The ministry has received another grant from the Italian Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea for similar installation at the TG Global Primary School. We are grateful and thank you once again. The 30 by 30 is the driving force behind initiatives like this, and we are proud of the work that has been completed and look forward to expanding the portfolio of renewable energy projects that will ultimately allow us to realize this. So on behalf of the Ministry of Environment and Housing, I wish to thank all for participating. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your attention. And of course, let's all stay safe.
Thank you for those remarks, Minister Ferreira. We are about to show a video of the Anatol Rodgers High School project so that you can have a visual of what actually happened there at the school. At the end of the video, we will open the floor for questions. So remember to post them in the comment section.
The Caribbean receives over 70% of its energy production from imported fuels, directly impacting oil price fluctuations and electricity costs. Our region has significant renewable energy generation capacity and a high potential for its development owing to an abundance of renewable energy resources. Setting low carbon targets, bolstered by regulatory support policies, will largely affect the reduction of oil imports and national electricity costs, thus increasing long-term GDP and economic opportunities. The Caribbean has seen an increase in the successful implementation of renewable energy interventions. The Anatol Rodgers High School Energy Retrofit project integrates the strategic objectives of the Government of the Bahamas for energy conservation measures, and contributes fulfilling commitments to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, supporting a low-carbon economy.
Anatol Rodgers was one of the pilot projects of that policy, and it was a project that was grant funded by the Italian government.
Anatol Rodgers High School is the first example of green building concluded through the grant of around $700,000 in order to support the construction of a pilot project focused on sustainable energy.
The project involved several energy initiatives. The main one, of course, being that of the installation of a 250 kilowatt grid-tied solar PV system with roof-mounted solar arrays, as well as a number of energy efficiency interventions. These included lighting interventions in terms of both exterior lighting and interior lighting controls for the fans, several ceiling fans that were in classrooms, the insulation of classrooms, because many of them are air conditioned. And there were also interventions for automation of the both split type AC units and central AC units around the facility. There was also another interesting intervention of where we replaced the aerators on the faucets in many of the bathrooms by reducing the amount of water that is consumed on site using these aerators. We actually are reducing the amount of electricity that's used.
The benefits of this project impacted the students, the operations of the school, and are transcending the border of the Bahamas.
The project has been incredibly successful since the installation of the energy conservation measures and the solar PV system. It has avoided over 189,000 pounds of CO2, the equivalent of about 2,500 trees being planted.
Has opened the general public's eyes to see what can be done. We almost took an entire school off of the grid.
Provides us the kind of supplementary backup power in the case of power failures, which it was the continuation of our instructional benefits to our students and the ability for our educators to provide that instruction.
It creates the awareness in the students of the kind of people that we want to be citizens in the future. I think if part of their education is that renewable energy are part of their education, then it's kind of their expectation to participate in that as a member of their neighborhood, their community, their island, their country. I think COVID-19 has taught us all that the old way of doing things was okay, but now we have to look at new ways to be able to answer some of the same problems or challenges that we had.
Based on the information that we have received, have resulted in the reduction of energy consumption at the school by about 60 to 70%. Coming out of this project, you would find people seeing this large solar system installed on the school would become more interested in investing in renewable energy. And that, of course, has the benefit of creating more jobs in this field.
This is a part of a program of renewable energy installations and energy efficiency retrofits. So we have buildings like the Ministry of Education. We have more schools that are being identified currently. We are looking at the police barracks and the Defense Force headquarters, which is like our military, as well as the hospitals and clinics across the Providence and Family Islands in attempts to make them more climate resilient and energy efficient.
It has been very successful, and the lessons that have been learned from this project will be scaled up and will be utilized by the Center to design additional projects both in the Bahamas and across CARICOM member states.
Access to climate finance is critical for the Caribbean to mobilize adaptation and mitigation initiatives.
Italy strongly support the CARICOM countries in their commitment to achieve a balance between adaptation and mitigation, particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. Since 2015, the Italian Ministry of Environment has been developing a fruitful collaboration in the area. In the last 5 years, 21 projects have been approved with a total budget of some $17 million. Indeed, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has been designated as the implementing agency of 16 of the 21 initiatives proposed by the countries to support CARICOM states in promoting the protection of the climate system, the development of renewable energy, the reduction of natural disasters, and the promotion of biodiversity conservation.
Like the Bahamas, small island developing states are more susceptible to the impacts of climate change. The Caribbean Community Climate Change Center calls for investing in renewable energy projects such as the Anatol Rodgers energy retrofits as one of the key strategic actions required in building the region's resilience to climate variability and mitigating the projected impacts of climate change.
We want to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to the partners for making this project successful. The Italian Ministry of Environment, Lands and Sea, the Government of the Bahamas, the Ministry of Environment, Rocky Mountain Institute, and of course, the Anatol Rodgers High School.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in our webinar today. I'm going to open the floor now for questions. I noted that we have one question. Good morning. Who supplied and installed the system at the school? So I'm going to bring Dr. Neely on the screen to bring comments.
Good morning. Yes, Wolseley Construction was the contractor that we got to do the installation at the school. We went through the government of the Bahamas tenders process, and Wolseley was successful, and so they were awarded the contract.
Thank you, Dr. Neely. Do we have any other questions from any of our live feeds on Facebook or YouTube? Okay, so I guess we were very crystal clear this morning. No one has any questions. Everyone is on the same page and on one accord. We would like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in. We appreciate you taking the time out to join us this morning. We'd like to thank Minister Ferreira for bringing remarks, as well as Minister Jeffrey Lloyd. We appreciate the time from Dr. Colin Young, Dr. Giovanni Bernelli from the Italian government, as well as our Permanent Secretary, Mr. David Cates. Thank you to all of those who participated in this project. Rocky Mountain Institute, Anatol Rodgers High School was installed by Wolseley Construction, as Dr. Neely said. And we are going to now invite Dr. Kane from the 5Cs to bring closing remarks.
Morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Lindy, for that. I've sat here this morning and I feel very proud that we've come to this point, that we're able to showcase the ACE project and the conclusion of this project. What I've heard over the past few minutes is that we have a project that is replicatable and that could be scaled up, and we intend to do so. What I've heard is the Ministry of Education commit to continuing this sort of work across the education ministry, not just in terms of building resilience in the infrastructure, but also building climate change resilience and mitigation into academia, bringing the youths on board in terms of getting us to change the way we do things and to adapt to and mitigate climate change. I've also heard of the benefits of this project transcending the borders of the Bahamas. That is, there's potential for this to be done in other CARICOM countries, and I want to encourage other CARICOM countries to really follow the example that has been set here by the Bahamas. We are very grateful to the government of Italy through IMELS. I want to thank Dr. Bernelli for bringing the remarks on behalf of IMELS for this session. I want to take the time to also thank the Minister, that's Minister Ferreira, the Ministry of Housing and Environment, who has been pivotal in helping us to get where we are in articulating that energy policy that is guiding some of the actions related to renewable energy in the Bahamas. I also want to thank the Ministry of Education, Minister Lloyd, for the remarks that he gave at the top of the launch. We're really appreciative of those comments that were made, and we look forward to working with the Ministry of Education as we roll out phase 2 of this regional program, which intends to do some retrofit at the TG Global Primary High School. I want to take this time to also thank Dr. Neely and Lindy from the Ministry of Environment and Housing, who has worked tirelessly with the team here at 5Cs to ensure that this project was on time and on track. In fact, this project was finished ahead of time when compared to some of the other programs, other projects in the program. I also want to take this time to thank the 5Cs team, the communications unit that has worked tirelessly to ensure that we get the message out there about this project and some of the lessons that we've learned from this. You can always find information about this project via our clearinghouse or website. So please log on at any point in time and just search for this project, and you'll find some information about it, some of the lessons learned from that project. I also want to take the time to thank our finance unit, who has worked tirelessly to ensure that the resources are available for the execution of this project. I just want to leave us all with a thought, and it's not just a thought, but the idea that this project has come to an end, and the fact that it fits perfectly within a policy environment that is set by the government, and then that policy environment is contributing to a low carbon resilient economy of the Bahamas. This is a first step in the right direction. It represents an example, it represents a case study that could be replicated in Bahamas, but right across the region. And I want to even go beyond the Caribbean to say it's applicable to all states. With that, I want to thank everybody who tuned in online to be a part of this discussion. And we look forward to continuing the work with the stakeholders on the ground in the Bahamas, but also in all the other CARICOM member states. Thank you very much for joining us today.